Hi guys, so today we are going to talk about books because I love reading, but I really got out of the habit of reading when I did A-levels because it was just a lot of work and my eyes were tired and I kind of just wanted to play games. So my favourite book series is actually The Song of Fire and Ice, but you guys know all about that, so why bother talking about it? I'm going to talk about the books that were my favourite from when I was 8 until I read Game of Thrones. They were my favourite books for at least 10 years. And then they were usurped, like King Robert usurped the Mad King. They are called The Song of the Lioness Quartet by Tamara Pierce, and I think it was aimed at teenagers in general, but I think it's perceived as aimed at teenage girls because the protagonist is a female. That, for boys, it would be really interesting. Like the same amount as it would be for girls. It's about these twins, specifically the female twin Alana. And she wants to be a knight. She's not allowed to be a knight because girls aren't allowed to be knights. So she's going to get sent to a convent to be a lady. Her twin brother, on the other hand, wants to be a mage. But he's not allowed to be. He's going to be sent to be a knight. But boys, when they're learning to be a mage, get sent to the convent first. So they leave their home to go their separate ways, but they dress up as each other and swap. And then their dad, he doesn't really pay much attention, luckily, so like they can blag it and they can just be like, "What do you mean you thought I was a girl? I'm here to learn magic." And she's just like, "Oh, you were expecting my brother Tom? No, he's learning to be a mage. I'm Alan." And it's better than the way I just described it. But I think key to it is about knowing what you want and who you are and who you're not and what's not right for you and what might be right for you and going for it. That is a theme that's not only at the start when she's like, "I want to be a knight," but later on with romance and the choices that she makes and what she decides to learn and whether she decides to involve herself with other people or not. The next books that I'm going to talk about are the series that I have just finished because they were just so good. It was the Arthurian Saga by Mary Stuart. And it's an amalgamation of 12th century history and 15th century Le Morte d'Arthur. I probably slaughtered that because I don't speak French. So basically she uses these narratives from year before to write a new book about it from, with new twists and her own perspective, and it's not meant to be the legend, but it's meant to be an interpretation of the legend, kind of like the BBC's Merlin, which I recommend because it's hilarious. But yeah, so the first 3 books are actually from Merlin's perspective. Arthur isn't even really in them to start with because he's not born yet. That's right, it starts before Arthur's born. The 4th book is from Mordred's perspective, with small insights into Arthur's psyche and what he's doing and stuff like that, but not really from his point of view. She has the perfect balance of description and action that gives you the image of what's going on without you having to go like, "Oh, there's like 8 pages of description, let's skip through that," or it just being a narrative and not having any depth in it. She's got a really good balance. My issue is that I cannot help but imagine Arthur as Bradley James from BBC's Merlin, even though she's quite clearly, he has black hair, dark hair, he isn't blonde. Another book that I read recently that's worth a mention is Carmilla. This I heard from the Moth Diaries was the original vampire book. It's really interesting. It's different to modern day vampire books. It's very short. I got it on Kindle, and like before I knew it I was like 40% of the way through, and I read it in like 4 hours, and that was with me being slow and daydreaming and stuff like that. And I do have to say I did get 40% of the way through before I realised that the main character was actually female. There was one point where he was like, "Oh, you've got a charming daughter," and I was just like, is that a misprint? Does he mean son? Oh, I don't know. And then again, "Oh, you've got a charming daughter, Laura." Oh, that was just me being Tim. So read it, and I mean you guys now know that she's a female before it starts, so it's different, but If any of you guys have already read it and made the same mistakes, let me know. The last book I'm going to talk about is the book that I'm about to start, and that is, well, I've got a chapter in, whatever, is Getting Your Head Around the Brain. Now, Amanda Ellison was my dissertation supervisor when I was at university, so I'm a little bit biased about this book already, but oh my god, reading it, it definitely has her voice. I can hear her saying the things. You do need some basics in biology, but if you're prepared to sit down and you're prepared to think about what you've just read, maybe reread it a couple of times, maybe draw some diagrams of what you've just read so you can picture it in your head. This is called active learning, by the way. You know, sometimes you might have to Google some stuff, but she's very good at explaining stuff. So I knew from GCSE what a neuron looked like. She describes it. She doesn't go into the details that you don't need to know for the brain. But yes, I would recommend having some knowledge, or just being some knowledge of biology, or being very prepared to think about it and learn. So it's so far a good book, you know, chapter and a half in for that, but considering she taught me, and there is probably not going to be much in this book that's new to me, I can tell you that it's going to be an interesting book. So thank you for listening to me babble about books. I might do it some more at some other point. Depends how quickly I read stuff. Okay, thanks, bye.